Namaste friends, hope you are all doing great. Happy Navaratri. Today I am here to introduce to you some important work by our Honorable External Affairs Minister Subramanya Jaishankar. This work is in news for various reasons and it is very important work by the sitting External Affairs Minister. So let's understand. What do you understand by the term international relations or Indian foreign policy? International relations is very unique as well as it is ever evolving term, and that subject is often kept very important and very close because it is the art of statecraft. It is the policy through which ambient, peaceful and multipolar prosperous globe can be created. And when I say Indian foreign policy, what do you understand? Or what do you remember? See, we know post-independence, that is after 1947, our Indian foreign policy has evolved over the period of time. Previously, it was anti-imperial, anti-apartheid. Global interest was at the forefront. Post-independence, we have seen how NAM, that is Nehruvian era's non-alignment movement, came to forefront. Then we have seen I.K. Gujral's doctrine, before that P.V. Narasimha Rao's doctrine. After that, we have seen Look East policy, Link West policy. Then in the recent regime of Narendra Modi government, we have seen how neighborhood first came to the forefront, as well as Look East became Act East for the simple reason enormous possibilities and potential available in the East. At the same time, we are also very deeply implementing the Link West policy. But fact of the matter, when I say Indian foreign policy, that we understand looking the world through India, through the prism of India, or let's say India's interests are kept at the forefront. That is where the Indian foreign policy comes in place. Every government, every foreign minister or every prime minister for that matter, make sure that international relations and Indian foreign policies are kept at the paramount importance, because it is that policy which drives India's place in the world. Of course, we all know economy is the driving factor for diplomacy, and we must also understand this diplomacy is one such tool of foreign policy which can win without waging a war. We have seen in the past how diplomacy has succeeded. We have also seen how diplomacy have failed. But diplomacy is the constant force and constant hope through which the bilateral and multilateral relations can be established and taken forward to the new hope. Having said all these things, today we are here to discuss one important book by Subramanya Jaishankar. See, as far as Indian foreign policy is concerned, for the readers and also for all sorts of bureaucrats in the making, diplomats in the making, international relations is the very interesting subject, very easy yet complex, and it is one such subject which cannot be ignored if you are gonna become a leader, a talisman, a statesman, or even a bureaucrat and diplomat. We have seen, of course, since independence, there are many books with respect to Indian foreign policy and international relations. International relations as the subject of political science, which has wide aspect and it's a very, very wide subject. But when it comes to Indian foreign policy, it is India specific, looking world through the prism of India and keeping India's interest paramount vis-a-vis the global. And that was evolved over the period of time. We have seen how NAM, after which our foreign policy became more and more nationalistic, because we understood that in order to present India, there is a need that India's approaches must be calibrated, asserted very widely. In past 10-20 years, that importance has grown massively, and we have understood the power of diaspora, we have understood the power of India's prowess, we have understood that India has three key aspects, that is democracy, demand and demographic dividend. These are the key driving force. Without India, there is no global order, or let me put it like this: by ignoring India, no global order is complete. Because of the population, because of the immense potential India carries with it, or let's say the Asia itself. When I say Asia, it comes all our neighbors, South Asian neighbors, or let's say whole of Asia. India has the potential to become the leader of 21st century. At the same time, it is also the interest of India to have a balanced Asia, peaceful Asia, non-assertive Asia, and mutually respectable between the nations, at the same time growing together with prosperity. So with respect to Indian foreign policy, or foreign policy of India, we have seen many. C. Raja Mohan is one of the wide writer in the recent times, and many others are there. V.P. Dutt is one such writer, suggested book for every UPSC aspirant or even otherwise, that Indian foreign policy since independence. It gives the wide approach of Indian foreign policy, how it carried through till the time of Atal Bihari Vajpayee. After Vajpayee regime, NDA, what do you call NDA, and after that there has been a game-changing place, and also there has been constantly turns, twists, because the whole world order is changing. In that perspective, this V.P. Dutt book is one of the important book, and which is read by most of the readers, international relations enthusiasts. But fact of the matter, this book today I'm speaking about, it is one of such book which will be driving force for the India's foreign policy outlook for the future. Why I say so? Because this book is written by the sitting External Affairs Minister itself, and this book is the compilation of his speeches, his thought process. And let me also tell you that Subramanya Jaishankar was a diplomat for 4 decades. He was the ambassador for China and also United States. Now he is the External Affairs Minister of India since May 2019. Therefore, whatever he writes, it becomes very much important. Not just that, he is having the ground expertise as well as the subject expertise, and he himself becoming the champion, he himself becoming the minister. It becomes very much important, because these are the aspects which will define India's foreign policy in the coming times. And most importantly, when I say world, this is the opening of first copy, and I feel it is very good. So when I say world order, we must realize the fact, after World War II, there were changes in the global order, there were changes in the global geopolitical setup itself. We have seen bipolar Cold War, during which India stood away from both the partners because of its NAM attributions, and we'll discuss about this. But after unipolar world, after the post disintegration of Soviet Union, the world turned, even though it was looking multipolar. The speeches were made in the interest, or seemed to be look like a multipolar, but it was by and large a unipolar world driven towards the west. And later on, during past few years, China became the major challenger to US-led unipolar world. And again, we have seen that trade war and what are the changes which are going on at the global level. But fact of the matter, this writer very firmly believes that today is the time post-pandemic, that is in the 21st century, the world is getting again, let me tell you, again it is moving towards multipolar world. Multilateral relations it is seemingly might get more importance over the unipolar world, because unipolar world is gradually getting disintegrated, because US power is also gradually getting disintegrated. Not factor only, but also it is very important in past 4 years of Donald Trump regime how allies or let's say all the allies were, or alliance system was made redundant or disruptive. Most of the alliances were broken. Uniquely, it was framed, it was tested, or it was to harness the need of the time. Anyhow, so this author believes that we are moving again towards the multilateral world, and if that multilateral world has to be potentially successful, India's role has to be proactive, positive, energetic, and it cannot just sit calm and say we will see what it is happening, what it will emerge, and we will play the cards then. No, it is not possible. Subramania Jaishankar very cleverly starts by saying that, see, he's not a critic of NAM, neither he accepts nor he supports NAM principle. He goes back to Mahabharata time and says, even Balarama and Rukmini did not take part in the Mahabharata battle, but they still had to face the consequence. The worst thing is that when you are not part of any of the system, you will be boycotted, or you will be seen with the eyes of contention by both the parties, and more harm will be created to you. That is what Subramania Jaishankar means, and he means to say that it is very much necessary in this post-pandemic world, or in the tumultuous times, in this uncertain global order, India to play more active role with having all sorts of interest, India's interest at the paramount, and also having all the linkages with other nations. He says very realistically involve with China, very pragmatically engage with America, make sure reassurance is the key with respect to Russia, include Japan in place, because we are also saying that there will be huge Quad, Malabar exercise, etc., military alliance system. But Subramania Jaishankar is very cautious to say that there is no ambit for us to go with any alliance, especially the military alliance system. That is where the debates were going on in the recent times. But he is very clear that such Quad and Malabar exercises which are very essential for India's interest, probably to counter China, but India's strategic autonomy must be kept or held high, and India's strategic autonomy must be upheld over all this US-led alliance system or any of the alliance system. He also says go back to the roots and include or connect with the West, which is also very important for the economy. See, being diplomat, being a statesman, usually what happens when diplomats are there, they know the ground realities, they are the policy makers. But when they become politicians, they will turn out like exceptional case. They will be turning out like a statesman, having a huge potential. And while being a statesman, when he is writing certain aspects, which becomes very important. So, as I said, he is very cautious of NAM. He says India must engage with everyone, have loose connections, loose partnership. He is not saying that very much tight is good. He is very much cautious, and we all must know when India was moving towards US had asked India to send troops to Iraq. But India, we must understand the autonomy of India. Strategic autonomy, how much it is important. India rejected that call by saying we will not send troops to any of the foreign territories. So this cover is very good, and I must say that these are the, wow, he starts with the Tiruvalluvar. Yeah, of course, he's a Tamil Nadu, he's from Tamil Nadu, he hails from Tamil Nadu, therefore he begins with the wisdom is to live in tune with the mode of changing world. Yeah, that is true. Wisdom, I repeat again, it is very, very, very interesting and very important. Wisdom is to live in tune with the mode of changing world, because wisdom alone is constant. Rest everything is changeable, and change is certain. So he starts with the past. So this book includes, very importantly, India's foreign policy in the past, India's foreign policy in the contemporary era, and also India's foreign policy for the future. And futuristic part is very much important for the simple reason it is evolving. We are all looking forward for what will be coming in the future. And two things here I must mention, and I must quote him, that he says that Indian foreign policy, India must enshrine upon its nationalistic spirit. True nationalism go back to the cultural roots. I have not seen any of the foreign minister or a diplomat writing these words saying that Rashtra Dharma is paramount. Uphold the Rashtra Dharma as said by the Sri Krishna. When you uphold the Rashtra Dharma, victory will be yours. What a beautiful words, and I have not seen any diplomat writing this or any foreign minister writing this. When Subramanya Jaishankar, very well educated, very modern outlook, and he was a diplomat, yet he is getting back to Krishna, he is getting back to Chanakya Niti. That means India's wisdom, as I quoted Tiruvalluvar, India's wisdom. When wisdom is true, you know, when Chanakya said, Shatru is your Mitra, we must understand how strategically being autonomic or autonomous, how to play the international affairs, international politics, in the making it possible in the interest of India. And this articulation is very much important when he says, follow the dharma of state. Wow, state's dharma, Rashtra Dharma. The heaviest penalty for declining to rule is to be ruled by someone inferior. So there are very, very good quotes, and I will not quote each and everything, but as far as my first reading of this book is concerned, very good book, and every diplomat in the making have to certainly read this book. It will certainly help you in enhancing your personality, in enhancing your answer writing, enhancing your approach towards international relations, and understanding India in vivid, getting back to cultural roots, and most importantly, it gives the diverse outlook. What were the fallacies of the past? How India could have outsmarted vis-a-vis world or vis-a-vis other players of the globe. At the same time, he is also having solutions. But fact of the matter, you must remember, this is just a framework in the making. There is no details. For example, when he says, cunning China must be tackled in its own way. I think it is in the chapter, I don't remember. But with respect to China, he is very particular. He says, use the tactics of China against itself. How it manipulates, or how it, Chinese strategic deception, how it makes sure skillfully everything in its favor. That is probably using media, using social media. India lacks in that aspect. But with respect to China, this book or these articles, these speeches were written before Galwan clashes. Therefore, India is preparing up for new strategy to tackle China, new strategies to understand Chinese aggressions in every aspect. India is still in dilemma whether to consider Tibet as a separate entity, whether to consider Taiwan as a separate entity, whether to go with Hong Kong, whether to what's the official policy with respect to Xinjiang, and etc. etc. But fact of the matter, this is very clear. And one more thing, with respect to Pakistan, he says India is no more a soft policy. How we were treated and we were said and we had forgotten Vismriti. That is what it is. Vismriti. He says we had forgotten our past. We had forgotten our Rashtra Dharma. Therefore, India was subdued to its inferiority by saying it is just a soft state, soft power. It cannot do anything. But he says 2611, there was a chance and opportunity for India to retaliate back and to seek justice in its own way, for which he addresses it by saying Pulwama and Balakot are the best example how India showed to the world and to the Pakistan that when Pakistan preaches and it owns terrorism as the official state policy, India retaliates back with the same intensity for the sake of justice, not for anything else. With Pakistan, we are done. With neighbor, he says, of course, engage more with the neighbors and look east, act east. These are the usual, policies followed over the period of time. But he has some enshrined aspects to add on when he says that economy is the paramount for diplomacy. We always must understand economy is the center base through which the empires are built. Only polity and these diplomacy and all the state policy aspects are just the guardians of that economy. Without economy, there is no world order. Without economy, there is no nation state. Without economy, there is no prosperity. That is why economy is the paramount. And when he says reassure with China, engage loosely with America, economic interests are at the center stage, along with strategically autonomous, yet very much militarily loose aligned partnership with the world. And this is one such best book everybody must read. I read the what it is written in the last, and I must say that this book will make a difference in your knowledge base, in your wisdom base, in understanding of Indian foreign policy, in understanding how well your English knowledge is. Because after Henry Kissinger, I have not seen, always diplomats write for diplomats, but diplomats writing for the public becomes very important aspect, and that diplomat is not retired. That diplomat is not hurt and he's sitting in peace and writing. No, he's writing while serving as the head of Indian foreign policy or Indian external affairs ministry. So therefore it becomes important. I read this. As India rises in the world order, it should not only visualize its interests with the great clarity, but also remember, not just a visioning that we have great past, we will be great leaders, 21st century belongs to us, but we also need to communicate them effectively, for which India needs a global media to make sure set the narrative through India's way. India's interest must be held high. India's approaches, India's policies, India's theories, India's answers, everything must be set in a very, very close narrative, for which we need a proper media. We need proper social media understanding, not to create tensions between the nations, but to garner good interest or to build good relations, along with upholding the Rashtra Dharma. So this book is also an effort to contribute to that endeavor, encouraging an honest conversation among Indians without discouraging the world from eavesdropping. International relations may be mostly about other nations, but neither unfamiliarity nor indifference lessens its consequences. So rather than allow events to come upon us, these are better anticipated and analyzed. One thing I need to tell about this book, I have a request also. While diplomats like him write the book, it is also for the common man. Certain phrases, certain lines are requires a good sense of English reading or regular, high standards of English vocabulary. terrorism, isn't it? I don't know. So you need certain places. I felt that I may have to read 2-3 times to understand, but fact of the matter, it has an eloquent flow to take upon from first page to last page, unless, fact of the matter, unless you have a deep sense of recent trends in the global politics, recent trends of Indian foreign policy. You are looking the world along with the way you are looking the India. Because see, when you say Atmanirbhar, you cannot be a closed economy. You have to communicate, you have to be interlinked with that world. Therefore, it is important when you have the minimum sense and knowledge of global changes going on, it becomes very much important and very much easy for you to understand what are the things which are written in this book. I have made, so have I left anything? And see, one thing is for sure, that this whole of this aspect, strategies for an uncertain world, and it has 8, okay, let me say 8 headings, and let's say 8 to 9 chapters, having 215 pages, 699 rupees. But I don't see that this price is very much high, because the quality is very good. If you are a bureaucrat, if you are into statecraft, if you are into state policy, you want to become a leader, don't miss this book. In the recent times, there are many good books with respect to internal issues. We have seen many of the bureaucrats, Niti Aayog members, and Prime Minister's Economic Advisory Council, Vivek Debroy, kind of writers writing this, many former secretaries, current secretaries writing the aspects with respect to internal aspects, but with respect to external aspects. Whenever the people write, they write with their assumptions, they write towards pushing their interests, or let's say how they perceive the world, they try to push that aspects. But fact of the matter, when external affairs minister is writing, it is certain that these are the aspects which are going to be brought in to India's changing foreign policy, even the India's or global tumultuous times or uncertain world order. We don't know what is going to happen in US elections, but certainly that election is going to change the parameter of global understanding or global relations, that is for sure. And also we have seen how the pandemic has affected everybody, and how it is going to make sure that new emerging power, middle powers like India, how it will become conducive, how the investments will rise, how India must not just close its doors, but make sure when it is increasing the tariff, make sure those tariff will also have retaliatory effect by others. But fact of the matter, that tariff rise must be on the non-essential goods, so that the adversary will be also same without affecting the basic needs of India. And how China is playing with respect to economy, we have all known. I have also discussed in the past in my own videos. But fact of the matter, see, I have to say 2-3 things: that engage with America, manage China, cultivate Europe. Wow, cultivation Europe, cultivation your past with Europe, and reassure Russia, because we know that Russia has been one of the oldest and one of the best military, because even today Russia is the largest military partner of India. So reassurance with Russia, because just by moving towards America may give us a strategic edge while containing China, but in the region, and also for the future, we also need Russia. We cannot be just moving away towards somebody just to counter China. It will become China-Pakistan relationship, but that should not be the happen. That should not be the thing, for the simple reason India always believed and always believes in strategic autonomy. And most importantly, bring Japan into play. Japan is the key player. Japan being the advanced state, being one of the key India's friend in the recent times. Also, it is also fighting Chinese aggression in South China or East China Sea. and Japan is one of the key player in the South China Sea, as well as India's strategic interest, because of we know it was not possible without Japan's help to begin this what do you say, bullet train. Okay, so important, Krishna's choice, the Rashtra Dharma, follow the state, follow the Rashtra Dharma. It becomes paramount when it becomes the paramount interest and idea of every bureaucrat, every politician, or every leader out there. National triumph, nobody can deny, nobody can stop. But remember, Swadharma is less important compared to Rashtra Dharma. Always uphold that interest of Rashtra Dharma even in the foreign policy. He gave the very beautiful example of Balrama. He says, where we are uninvolved, we have to face the consequences. But when we do not involve in both sides, and both sides start treating us enemies, and that will displease from both the partners or both the sides. And most importantly, yeah, I need to quote Uri and Balakot and New Normal, where terrorists don't go unpunished, was set above everything, and therefore it created a very clear message that India is no more a soft state. It deals sternly with terrorists or whoever tries to harm the India state. And China, he says realism matters with China, and Wuhan spirit is the key driving force. Wuhan and Mahabalipuram were two heads met in the past. But this Chinese aspect, I repeat, this Chinese strategic deception must be countered in Chinese way itself in order to have a edge over China. Otherwise, the cunning China will take over India in every possible way, in setting narrative, or even in placing its interest in the global order, be it in WHO, be it in UN or elsewhere. So therefore, India must be cautiously playing the game. India must be classically proactive changer in the global order. We are looking forward for UN changes in the UN multipolar world order. We are seeking for the reform through UN, and most importantly, I must also say that world geopolitics cannot be completed. Yeah, as I said earlier, this was my words, without the presence of India. But asserting the national interest and securing the strategic goals through various means, which is also important. I would suggest you, if you are very new to Indian foreign policy, read some notes or read the articles of Sri Rajamohan or anybody during the times of post-independence era, how our foreign policy evolved. When we were freed of colonials, still we became the member of Commonwealth, thinking that by getting closer to the Britain than the global power, it may help us in establishing good world order, be it Kashmir issue or something like that. These were the deceptions. Okay, let me not go back to that. But fact of the matter, how NAM evolved, how Panchashil evolved, all these aspects, books like this will explain very neatly, so that you will get very concrete understanding of Indian foreign policy evolvement. What are the developments, what are the changes, how economic interest came to the forefront, how Indian diaspora started becoming very important for the state policies and statecraft, and how the geopolitics of the world must be understood in the prism of India. See, remember, geopolitics, we are not just seeing the world as the geopolitical entity, but we are seeing it as the active nurturing or active developing, should I place it like this, by saying it is also part and parcel of India's interest. The world is not just an entity or just a resource or just a market, but it is also a living entity. That is how India is pursuing the world. India is looking at the world. Lastly, I must say 2-3 words that this is one of the finest handbook of a diplomat I have seen. And being a diplomat, he has written diplomatically, sorry to say, but he has written it diplomatically. I know it becomes very much difficult to write very openly or becoming the part of government. There are certain restrictions and limitations, but with respect to wisdom, with respect to knowledge, with respect to experience, with respect to language, and even with respect to giving the visionary framework for India's foreign policy, this book and this work will remain one of the good what do you say, bibliography, and also good work to refer while taking any of the decisions in future. And also through this book one can understand the decisions of the past, whether it was successful or it was failure and all other aspects. But remember, liberal globalization and multipolar cooperations are of the Cold War have lost, and geopolitical conflict have come back, and nationalistic contestation has already started. See, when I said the post-COVID, when China started becoming, what do you say, separated or isolated, it was the time the assertive nationalism, everybody started talking of their nation, how to grow, how to get rid of this supply chain bottlenecks, and to become own supply chains or own become atmanirbhar way. Some might turn what do you say, closed, but it may fail. But connecting with the world, it is very important to look towards yourself, your nation, your people, where that economy and their livelihood must matter first, and do not depend upon anyone. That was a fallacy of globalization, which once said that you prepare what you are good at, and rest of them prepare what they are good at. But certain times like this stimulus time, we have understood how supply chain affects, how it is going to have a wider replications or implications over the lives of the people of any nation who are just dependent on other nation for supplies. So yeah, as I said that after Henry Kissinger, this book is one of the finest book for the public, and also this book gives a lot of insight, a very good book. Also, if you haven't read that Henry Kissinger's book, very good book, you can read. And one thing he also at the in between, he also mentions of bureaucratism, how it is affecting the communication or flexibility and cohesive Indian foreign policy strategies. But he is not of it, because himself was UPSC what do you say, achiever, and therefore he has that mindset in the UPSC aspects. But remember the lessons of Aud. He starts with the dangers of strategic complacency and ends with Pacific Indian, a re-emerging maritime outlook. Pacific India is the new emerging outlook. As we all know, how India growing interest of US is rising, how India Pacific relations are getting RCEP, be it India's role in Indian Ocean, or Chinese involvement in the Indian Pacific region, because that is one of the potential areas to write. Interested, there are very good number of books written by Indians and also in the outside authors. But fact of the matter, this one will be a special work among all others. It's a special plume in among other feathers. So having said all these things, this is one of the finest books. No diplomat in the making, no bureaucrat in the making, and also no international enthusiast can miss. There are limitations like Chinese policy have to be updated, or this book was written in the past before Galwan. India is rethinking of its Chinese outlook and approach, and we are going to see all these aspects in the coming days. We don't know how the world is changing, but one thing is certain: wisdom will drive, and India is the certain fact without which globe cannot prosper. Therefore, it becomes very much important and pertinent for the world to take India along, take India seriously, and understand the interests of India, for which we the Indians, we the diplomats, we whatever we are, we have to assert India's national interest as the Rashtra Dharma at the paramount conjuncture in every level, because India's possibilities are the only key drivers of change, and they are the certainties for the changing world. We don't know how the uncertain world will evolve, but India's interests are very much certain, and we know how to take it forward. We must not apprehend with respect to India's interest. Thank you once again for listening to me and spending time. and I wish you also read this. Probably after reading this again thoroughly, I may get back to you. But anyhow, this is sufficient according to me to give a preface or to give a brief introduction to this book. This is one of the finest works in the recent times. I hope you enjoyed the analysis, or you understood, or you were happier to listen to me. Thank you once again. Dhanyavad. Jai Hind. Signing off. Jaishankar. Thank you. Have a great year ahead post COVID. I don't know how to say this, but the hope is the driving force, like India's foreign policy, like the global geopolitical prospects ahead. Hope is the driving force. Let us all be hopeful. Let us all be positive. Let us all push India's interest, as well as after India's interest, let us all push our interest, so nothing wrong. So let us all prosper happily, and thank you very much. India's way is the new way, and it is the ultimate way. Thank you very much for this book. Thank you, Honorable External Affairs Minister Subramania Jaishankar ji, for this beautiful work. Many such works should come from your pen. It is very much important when experts write these things, when experience and expertise join together, these kind of classics will emerge. Thank you. Dhanyavad. Jai Hind. This is Jaishankar. Please like, share, comment and subscribe to our channel for more videos. Thank you.